Congratulations.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Yes,
Go tell the bees that I am gone.
I am gone, yes. People have been asking me ever since I released that title, who's going to die? Because they say, well, obviously, somebody's gone, they're dying. Is it Jamie? To which I replied, no, it's not Jamie.
Oh, thank God.
But you never say Claire. What happens to Claire?
No, I never said Claire. Well, I never said she wouldn't die, did I? But a lot of things happened to her in this book, as well as to Jamie.
Oh my God.
Does she make it? I feel like
who else could die?
Yes, who lives, who dies? Brianna, Roger?
Well, let me see how many people are in this book. Something like 368 at the last count. There's a lot of choices.
But all Sam cares about is that
It's
you
going to be
feel
hard to
it.
dramatize with 360 characters.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
But
I've got a lot of room.
I mean, so you've been writing this one for a while. It's been well anticipated.
Yes, absolutely. I started writing it, well, soon after Outlander started, because I would bring my computer on set and write in between things and so forth. So it was kind of a joint fertilization, you might say. But a lot of people actually want to know about that, the jointness of the books and the shows and so forth, and how do we work together to make either one, is there feedback and so forth. And, possibly luckily, none of the show people tell me anything about my books.
We would not dare.
Well, I always listen. People tell me things. What I do about it is something else sometimes.
They're interesting because they kind of run beside each other, and obviously, we are a dramatization, so there are going to be differences. But we also always try and keep as much of your books in the show as well.
I appreciate that deeply.
Yeah.
But I always find it interesting that people ask you if you now kind of base it off, for instance, Sam and Katrina and what they're doing. And I've always said you're well ahead of us, although we are catching up. I mean, we are catching up, people. We could make it. Because you're only doing 10. I mean, we could easily do 10 series, right? Sam?
Well, yes, but you can't do 10 series faster than I can write
No,
to the
this is
10th
true.
book. Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone is, thank God, finished. It took not quite forever, but a number of years. And as my husband says, to a writer, finished is a relative term.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is true of TV shows too. Because while I've been signing all of these tip sheets and so forth, I've been watching Outlander dailies and episodes and revised episodes and revised episodes. So when did you stop filming? A few months ago?
We stopped filming in June, and we're still in post-production. So, I mean, I think it surprises people often how long the process takes. We're actually in Outlander all year long because we'll start prepping fairly soon, early prep on season 7. We're already in the season 7 writer's room. And once again, we always kind of overlap seasons. So it's just, for some of us, it's just year round. And Sam, for instance, I think still has post-work to do, ADR sessions and stuff.
So I still haven't finished yet.
Yes, so it ends up being, I mean, for us, a very long season. Every year is kind of a continuation, but we love it, and it's so much fun.
Well, we just had the sort of teaser trailer released, and always that moment when something is finally out there.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding to see the fans and see
It
everyone
is.
in anticipation. And for you, this is finally there. I mean, how do you feel? When you first start writing a book as well, you obviously know where you're going with it, but or not, as the case may be. But when you get to the end, are you satisfied and are you excited, or are you sort of, is it a relief to finish it? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, well, all of those things, yeah. No, it's tremendously exciting, especially in the last few weeks. I know everything about this book, and it's just how long can I stay awake, before I fall over into my keyboard. And but it's very, very exciting, and luckily not nearly as painful as giving birth. So, but it goes on a lot longer. You get tired. No, it's very ecstatic, but it's always very peaceful for some reason. I always finish books at daybreak, on the last day, so to speak.
so you normally write at nighttime?
Yeah, I normally write at nighttime, but I'll go down to bed at 4:30 or so, work between midnight and 4:30. And so normally I would have been in bed, but I'm so close to the end, I just have to do this. And so it's always daybreak, and so I turn off my computer and walk down as the sun is dawning. And there's my husband in the kitchen. Says, "Oh, are you done?" And I said, "Yes, I'm going to bed."
So what happens after? Like, now you've finished it, do you still have that routine? Are you
my God, yeah.
sort of itchy fingers?
Diana never stops writing.
No.
Well, this is basically true, is what I'm writing. But I have just begun work on book 10. Because, it does.
No sooner have you finished this one, you're on to the next. Wow.
Well, more or less. Yeah. But I work interleaving things. I usually work on more than one project at a time. Scripts, for instance,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Do you find, I know you don't necessarily base your characters going forward off of obviously the actor portrayals, but
No.
do you find anything from the show seeps into these later books? Like I know you've had a character named Hewen, for instance, and yeah, that has made it in.
This swears a
Yes,
lot.
everyone
Has made
noticed
it
that.
in. But I mean, does anything else seep in? And in this next book, will we find any fun little, no?
Easter eggs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. You might. I have this vague recollection of having written something like that.
And can we have a tease? I mean, Sam and I,
Yes,
sometimes
come
I
on.
get a preview of the book. I have not gotten my preview yet. So
Yeah.
we
If
have a
you
little
want one,
tease.
just say the
Is there
word.
any teases,
Oh.
anything? Is there something we could, fans might can look forward to apart from the whole thing?
Oh
but-
my goodness gracious. Well, you know, all of my books have an internal shape,
Yes.
as I think in geometric terms when I'm putting them together. It's like playing Tetris in my head, but slowly. And anyway, this book is shaped like a snake, which is very interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah,
That sounds devious.
it is. Yeah.
I'm trying to work out time travel or...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Twisty.
That
yes.
might be something like that. And then again, it might just be plot-wise, as we have a number of people in this book. I'm not the sort of person who wants to write all about, you know, the romantic young lovers, and then the next book, well, they're now married and boring, so we're going to write about their children, that sort of thing. So, in fact, when I started writing this, I said, anybody can write a romance, evidently, because a lot of people do. I had not read any at this point. But I said, I'm not sure that I want to tell just a courtship story. I said, I want to tell the story of how you stay married for 50 years.
But you kind of probably base that on your own life. 'cause
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Since come February, we'll have been together for 50 years.
That's
Amazingly
congratulations.
amazing.
That's
Oh,
incredible.
Congrats.
It is kind of. We keep looking at each other going, surely not.
Wow.
I love that Doug reads your books. I love that Doug kind of weighs in and gives you notes.
And
Is
he's,
there,
Absolutely.
is he the first person that reads them?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he's basically the only person until it's done. But yeah, no, he does not get up, he does not work at night. He gets up way early, which is very helpful. So I finish writing something and I'll leave it on his sink when I go to bed, and he'll get it in the morning and take it off to have coffee. And he brings it back to me at noon with marginal notes, like, this is really good, or nipples again.
That's the best note. Is there anything in the previous books that Doug has been, you want to do that Doug said, no, I don't think so? Like,
Yeah, occasionally he will. Yes, sometimes he'll say, no, you can't sell this character short this way. You've got to let him play it out, you know, you can't just dispose of him. Yeah.
Does he have, or do you have favorites, or is it everyone's like your children, you know? There's, I'm not talking about characters, although you can say, but actually the actual books, like, are there any ones you enjoyed writing more than others, or more, I don't know, rewarding or challenging with certain books, or I guess everyone is different, right?
Well, they are, yeah. But for me, you know, characters are either onions, mushrooms, or hard nuts. The onions are the ones who I know immediately. I know exactly who they are. But as the more you work with them, they get these rounded layers and achieve more pungency and globularity. Yeah, anyway, Jamie is an onion, definitely, and so is Claire. Yeah,
he has
so-
layers.
Yeah,
Very,
layers,
very,
lots
yes,
of layers,
yes,
very
very
pungent
many.
layers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pungent, yes. Yes. The choice of words is always exceptional.
Exactly, yes. Let's see, who's a mushroom? Oh,
Master Raymond, I think
Master
you said
Raymond is a mushroom, yeah. Mhm.
I have listened to your past conversations.
Oh,
I've done
yeah.
my homework.
You
apparently.
have, yes,
I do
yes.
have notes.
Yes. No, exactly. And Lord John is probably my most successful mushroom. These are people who you weren't planning on having. You just wrote them in for some very transitory purpose, but they popped right up and took off with the scene. And they did it the next time you met them. You're thinking, okay, so that's who you are. So these people, I don't have to think about them at all. It's just what situation you encounter them in. They will immediately adapt to it and start taking it off. And one point in Bees, which I can probably tell you is not a spoiler because it's part of the Revolutionary War, but during a particular siege where Brianna is in the city with the British who are being besieged, and the Americans are doing the besieging, Lord John comes by to see to her welfare. And he gives her an American flag, which his brother took off a prisoner, he says. And he says, you know, if by chance they do get in, and I don't think they will, but if they do, hang this flag, you know, out of your window or put it over your door. And she says, all right. And she looks, you know, apprehensive, naturally enough. And he turns around and he says, don't worry, my dear. We are His Majesty's Army. We know how to do this. and they do. Yeah, so sometimes you get to see the British Army do their stuff, and sometimes you get to see Jamie's militia in all of its various iterations. Because you don't just build a militia out of, spare parts or dragon's teeth. You got to accumulate one, which means politics and judgment, and how am I going to buy enough rifles to support these guys? I don't have enough whiskey to sell to do that. We're going to have to steal some horses here, that sort of thing.
It's amazing how you tied in all the historical stuff. Because I find, even doing the show, it's a bit of an education as well. But it's a great balance between, the historical accuracy, but also the fiction side of it.
Yeah, the dramatizing of it.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Well, what a story is a character, and it's got to be, a particular character, a rounded, pungent one, that you can explore their personality. But the next thing you need is a situation. You got to find the situation in which this character finds him or herself, or themselves, as the case may be. And the question then is, here's this person in this situation, and then what happens? And you just keep moving this along. Every time you stop, you say, and then what happened? Well, if nothing is happening, obviously you need to go to a new place or switch your point of view to a different character. But this is what it always is, because the essence of a story is conflict. And I've got to say, for setting a book in a time of conflict, the 18th century was the place to be. It was just one thing after another. Yeah.
Do you ever find as you're writing ahead, you realize you've not made a mistake, but you've done something that you kind of wish you hadn't, and you want to undo it?
You might do better.
Yes, exactly. I mean, back in book 3, for instance, you set up something that now, Yeah,
occasionally. Not very often. This is putting aside questions of wokeness or political correctness in which people misinterpret the past to suit themselves. We don't do that. But occasionally there are places where I just didn't have the resources to do what I was doing well, so I did it to the best of my ability at the time. This would be the Mohawk in particular, the language and the culture and so forth. In that, I did have research materials. I did it as well as I could tell. Well, coming into this book, the last thing that I do is plug in the foreign languages, the non-English. So we've got French, Gaelic, and in this instance, Mohawk. And for the last book, all I had for the Mohawk language was a book called 1,000 Words in Mohawk.
Right.
So I did the best we could with that. Well, I was fortunate in this case to get an email from a Mohawk elder, an 82-year-old Red Power activist who took issue with some of the Mohawk in the show. And I wrote back very politely and said, well, we do our absolute best. We do have, a Mohawk consultant and things like this. And, culture is a moving target. And also culture depends quite a bit on your perspective and where you are in said culture. I said, but, there's also limited room in a show to explain things. You have to do things in visual. And I said, but since you're talking to me, I would really like you to tell me in detail about Mohawk customs and language. And if you can tell me how to say swiftest of lizards in Mohawk, I'd be greatly appreciated.
We kind of had the same on their show, though. I think, we obviously with the Native American side, we Matt and yourselves went, really deep into sort of the research there. But even with the Gaelic, it can vary so much, the pronunciations and what part of the country you're at. And
Absolutely.
People have different different customs, and I think it can really vary from I guess clan to clan or tribe to tribe.
They have their very own traditions that are sometimes completely opposite to the overall culture. And that's true. This is the bottom line, essentially, is that you are dealing with a very limited set of cultural circumstances that the set your main character finds him or herself in. They may be strange circumstances, in which case you have the excuse of, a fish out of water. You get to tour around and see everything that this person doesn't know, and thus to explain it to your readers. But if it is one that's well known to him, then you have to show just his customs and traditions without making it seem as though you are explaining. They just have to be part of him. And so, it's underplayed, so to speak. And the way you do that is, by minor repetition, or what I call underpainting, which is to weave the physical aspects of the scene underneath the dialogue. In other words, it's pretty much what you do when acting. In other words, the dialogue is spoken, but it's what you're doing underneath that is actually going to make that work. And you can do pretty much the same thing in text. It's just a matter of craft.
Sam and I are going to go run out right now and write a book. Well, you've already written a book.
So. Well, nice segue there, but we are actually booking birthdays.
We are,
my
amazed,
second book
yeah.
is out, Clanland's Almanac, the same day as yours.
Excellent, yeah.
So I guess they can read that after they finished yours, which I would suggest everyone goes out and reads. But
Well,
yeah, how
yours
big is
is
this one?
much
How
shorter.
big? Because this is something that always I
Oh,
find
yes.
your books get bigger and bigger. Like, is this the
Yeah.
biggest or?
No, it's not quite. See, to the best of my knowledge, which is not perfect, it's 440,000 words about. Okay, which is substantial. But Breath of Snow and Ashes and Fiery Cross
Yes.
were each 508,000.
Are you still going to stop at 10?
Well, it depends on Jamie and Claire. If they're not
Yeah.
ready to die yet, then I guess I'll have to go on.
Oh, then that means Claire's alive. That was a slip.
But it's time travel. You never
It's time
know.
travel,
okay?
yeah.
You can never tell.
Yes, that's the other thing, is that I do write novellas that fill in blanks in the series. So I can always go out and come back again by a different door, so to speak.
And then you have the audiobook as well, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Being
is
a
that-
porter, I love her.
Yeah, so she's lovely. Yeah, she is recording even as we speak, and it will be out at the same time as the hardcover. All the editions, hardcover, ebook, etc., and Audible come out at the same time, ideally.
Great.
Maybe Sam can narrate your 10th book.
I would love to do that, Dana. I just did our audiobook myself,
Yeah.
and it took us 3 days to do. So I imagine yours would take a sizable amount of time. I'm not
Takes
sure
6
I
to 8
have it in
weeks,
me.
I think. Yeah, well, I
8
don't know
weeks.
about that. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
okay.
that's much less time than I would actually imagine.
Yeah,
Because,
this is my
especially if you're
estimate.
playing every character, I'm
Yes,
actually
exactly.
fascinated by how she does her job,
Yes,
but
that's
that's another
amazing.
conversation entirely.
Yes, well, I don't know. You may be actually in the running to do that. Davina told me some
Oh.
years ago that...
Breaking news!
Well, no. She told me some years ago that she would be happy to read my next book, provided I finish it by her 75th birthday, because that's when she planned to retire. And as it is, I believe she's slightly past her 75th birthday, so we consider it
That's great.
esteemed favor and work of love. And we're looking forward to it with great attention. But depending on how long it takes me to write the next one, as I say, you may well be in the running.
Well, I'm always here, and but hopefully Davina will do it, 'cause it's great to have that continuity.
Yeah.
But no, I'm so excited. I'm sure everyone else is really excited to read it finally. I can't wait to get my hands on a copy.
I know, I want an early copy, actually.
I want a signed copy.